Fellas, the MMA YouTuber tier list. I don't know why no other MMA YouTuber have done this, because I feel like every MMA YouTuber wants to do this, but nobody has. Well, here's mine. When I say MMA YouTubers, I'm talking about, you know, solo MMA YouTubers. I'm not doing MMA fighters that have a YouTube channel or these big teams. You're not going to see me doing Corey Sandhagen MMA. This is just strictly MMA YouTubers. You know what I'm talking about. And if you are an MMA YouTuber watching this, don't get insulted if I put your load down. Don't get on your high horse if what you're high up on the list. This is just my opinion on all the MMA YouTubers. And yeah, we'll go in there with the first one we got. TJLovesFighting. TJLovesFighting, I'm going to put him in the middle. I'm going to put him in B tier. I think that's fair for TJ. His videos are really good, easily watchable, about 9 to 11 minutes long, roughly about that. He covers a wide range of topic, whatever relevant at the time. Sometimes dabbles in boxing. He's not really like a solely MMA YouTube channel. He does a bit of boxing too. If this guy uploaded like 3 to 4 times a week, he'd be like me on steroids. He'd be like my channel on steroids, because his videos are really good. Like I said, easily watchable. He obviously puts a lot of effort into his videos, which is probably why he only uploads about once a week. But yeah, I'm a fan of TJ. He's one of the few MMA YouTubers out there that can actually watch on a consistent basis, and I know it's going to be decent videos. Uploads once a week, doesn't really do predictions and stuff. So, and I'm not calling him a casual, but you know, I don't think I'm not expecting TJLovesFighting to be sat there at 3 AM in the morning watching an Apex card. But I'll put him in B tier. His videos are good, although I will say one other critique about TJ's channel is every time I'm watching this dude's videos, it's like watching like some sort of advertisement ceremony, because you've got the YouTube ads at the beginning. 3 minutes in, you've got like some sort of advert for like DraftKings Sportsbook. 4 minutes later, he's now showing off a watch that he's now sponsored by. So it does seem like his videos are filled with adverts. But I like TJ. His videos are fun, covers a wide range of topics, doesn't really seem to be out of touch with MMA or anything, you know, covers the relevant topics too. So TJLovesFighting, again, not just solely an MMA YouTuber. He's not like a consistent one, but I'll put him in B tier. If he uploaded like 3 to 4 times a week, maybe a prediction video in there and a card recap and maybe another video, he'd probably be an A tier, maybe even S tier if he, you know, he stuck to it on a consistent basis. But right now, I'm gonna put him in B tier. I think that's fair. Anyway, next one on the list, MMA Che. I also like MMA Che a lot. I'm gonna put MMA Che either low A tier or high B tier. He's been around for a long time as well. I think he's been around longer than me too. I'm gonna put him above TJ in B tier, high B tier for MMA Che. I think he's one of the best MMA YouTubers when it comes to breaking down just, you know, just pure MMA sequences, all that stuff. I think he's got like a background in MMA too. Like apparently he's like a Taekwondo guy with like a BJJ black belt too. So I think when it comes to all the MMA YouTubers, this guy knows his shit when it comes to MMA. You can tell because when he's breaking down fights, like I said, he's some of the best. I think when it comes to actual UFC knowledge, that's where I really question how often MMA Che has been watching the UFC. And I'm not calling him a casual, but I remember I've been in a couple of his live streams, and these are old now. They might not be relevant, but I remember joining one of his live streams like last year, and he was talking about like Nasruddin Imavov, and he was like, Nasruddin Imavov? Who the fuck is Imavov? I'm like, you know, you don't even know Nasruddin Imavov. And I remember watching one of his videos. He was talking about the flyweight division. It was like Manel Cape. So I do question how long he's actually been watching the UFC specifically. But when it comes to pure MMA, he knows what he's talking about. And he is one of these MMA YouTubers as well that has improved a lot. Like, you can tell he's improving a lot more. He's going live on a consistent basis. He's uploading on a consistent basis. His videos are good. I'm a fan of MMA Che. You know, I think his subscribers reflect how good of a content creator he is. So I'm going to put him high B tier, arguably low A tier as well. I'm a fan of MMA Che. Some of the best breakdowns in the game when it comes to MMA YouTube. So, and yeah, consistent. I'm going to put him in B tier for MMA Che. Then we've got on the list, let's go for Lucas Tracy. In fact, no, let's save Lucas Tracy till the end, because I know Lucas Tracy is one of the bigger ones. Let's do BedtimeMMA. Let's get a big one in early. BedtimeMMA. I'm going to put Bedtime. He's got to be in one of the top 2. I'm going to put Bedtime in S tier. I mean, the thing about Bedtime is he doesn't need like a high production video. He doesn't need, you know, all these different PowerPoint slides. He can simply just go through the UFC website, and he's one of the most easily watchable MMA YouTubers out there. He can carry you through a 30-minute video of him talking about UFC fighters that would do well as teachers, and it's just easily watchable. That's the thing about Bedtime. He's got the personality. He's one of the best personalities on MMA YouTube. Funny guy. He's been around for a long time as well. I've been watching this guy, like, even before I had a channel. Well, now, one thing I will say about Bedtime is when this guy did a face reveal, I wasn't expecting him to look like that. I thought this guy was going to look like Adrian Yanez or some shit. I wasn't expecting him to look the way they did it. Not that he looks bad or anything, but I was quite shocked by his face reveal. No, BedtimeMMA, one of the funniest MMA YouTubers out there. And like I said, he talks about everything. He does predictions, he does recaps, he'll do more jokey videos. That's kind of his niche, more jokey videos. But he'll also do like card builders and recaps. He does everything, man. So I think Bedtime deserves to be where he is. Like I said, he's been doing this shit for a long time as well. I think he started in 2022. So And I'm going to say this about bedtime, though. I've never seen someone with so much inconsistency in their impressions. Like, how can you absolutely nail a Chael Sonnen impression, but then when it comes to, like, Tom Aspinall, who's got the most monotone, basic voice in human history, you find a way to fuck it up. I feel like Bedtime's impressions, like, he'll smash out ones that are difficult to do, but he struggles to do the basic ones. So, BedtimeMMA seems like a likable guy. He's been around for a long time. I'm going to put him in S tier. He is one of the best MMA YouTubers out there. You can't really get bored of a BedtimeMMA video. He can carry you through any video idea, no problem, and that's why he's one of the biggest. So I think Bedtime, I don't know how his ego is going to handle this, but I'm going to stick him in S tier. Anyway, next one, let's go for Weasel. Weasel's been around for a shit ton of time. I think he's the second longest MMA. He might actually be the biggest, like the longest reigning MMA YouTuber out there. I'm going to put Weasel. He's got to be one of the top ones. I'm going to put him in A tier. I think the thing that lets Weasel down is, again, he's not one of these big personalities like an MMA Guru or, like I said, at Bedtime. He doesn't really have this big personality, but again, his videos are just great production and easily watchable, you know. He does, like, breakdowns and he'll show images of the fight, and he knows what he's talking about fairly. He's not really a casual. You can tell that he knows what he's talking about. Like, you can go to a prediction video and some Apex card in the early prelims, and you can kind of tell that he knows what he's talking about. Again, I don't really watch Weasel too often, so I'm not going to be acting like I'm an absolute expert on his channel, but seems to know what he's talking about, covers a wide range of topics. I like that kind of thing that he does where he talks about robberies and if it was actually a robbery or not, and I'm sure there's going to be one coming out this week for Stephen Thompson and Gabriel Bonfim, but WeasleMMA, he's just an easily watchable channel, does long content. I like his podcast that he does as well. I'm a big fan of his podcast where he does like a 1-hour podcast where he replies to comments. Obviously, I like the podcast idea, so I'm going to put Weasel in A tier. One of the better MMA YouTubers out there, one of the biggest as well. I think he's actually the biggest MMA YouTuber out there in terms of subscribers, so I'm going to put Weasel in A tier. Then we'll go to KennyOkoye MMA. I know everyone wants me to put Kenny in like D tier and C tier. Now let's get the elephant in the room. KennyOkoye, he is a bit of a rage baiter, but I think when you take the rage bait aside, he isn't that bad of an MMA YouTuber. Like, you can tell he kind of, listen, I know he has bad takes in a lot of his videos, but I know that's intentional. He isn't that bad of an MMA YouTuber. He just rage baits everyone, and it's worked because he's now, what, I think he's got like 17k subs. I think he's one of the fastest growing MMA YouTubers as well. I know he had a massive Twitter following as well. I'm going to put him low B tier. Obviously, I know I'm going to put MMA Che and TJ above him, but I'm going to put Kenny in B tier. I understand he has a lot of bad takes revolving MMA, but there are some YouTubers out there who genuinely have bad takes and awful takes, and they're, you know, that you can tell that they believe it. Whereas I feel like with Kenny, he just does well on pissing people off. Like, obviously, Usman isn't top 5 of all time. And obviously, his glaze for Adesanya and specifically Nigerian and Dagestani fighters does go too far. Like, I think he had Movsar Evloev in the top 10 of his GOAT list, which is obvious rage bait, but it works. And again, outside of the rage bait and the bad takes, you know, you can kind of tell that he knows what he's talking about. He covers a wide range of topics as well, does predictions, he's live on a consistent basis. So another thing that shocked me about Kenny, this guy's 23 years old. I thought he was like 17, 18 years old. That's 23. Maybe he has some sort of like cognitive issue. Let's not get into that. But yeah, 23 years old. I'm going to put Kenny in B tier. I know he has bad takes on a consistent basis, but it gets people talking about him. That's why he's one of the most talked about MMA YouTubers at only, what, like 17k? So I'm going to put Kenny in B tier. I think he's a pretty cool guy outside of the rage bait. And I know his debates, I've seen a couple of his debates online, and they're a hard watch because it is just him muting people and screaming over them. But I'll put Kenny in B tier. Rage baiter does have some god-awful takes. In fact, some of the worst on MMA YouTube, but I do think he's rage baiting a lot of the time. I'll put him in B tier, but I'll put him in low B tier. Anyway, who do we go for next? Let's go for, I don't know how to pronounce this dude's name, Mojahed, the animation guy, essentially. I'm going to put Mojahed. He's got to be in S tier as well. I feel bad for this guy. He's been on MMA YouTube for like 7 years, and I think he got a strike a couple of weeks back. So I think he only posts like 2-minute videos now, and he used to post like, I think he used to post longer videos. But yeah, Mojahed does animations of like different shit that's going on in the MMA YouTube world. Again, one of the most unique MMA YouTubers out there, has been doing it for a long time. He's just funny as shit, man. This guy's content is some of the funniest content on the MMA space. He'll cover topics like John Jones and Dana White. He's one of the most easily binge-watchable MMA YouTubers as well, is Mojahed. You can just sit there binging his content for a long time. Huge fan of him. Talented guy. Obviously one of the more unique MMA YouTubers. He's not just one of these oversaturated channels. So, Mojahed, I'm going to put him in S tier. Hopefully he can stay on YouTube. I think he tried thinking about transitioning to Patreon, but hopefully he can stay on YouTube. But yeah, one of the better MMA channels out there. And his animations, they kill me as well. So, Mojahed, well-deserved S tier. Probably the most unique channel out there. Anyway, who do we go for next? Let's go for Leftlane MMA. Leftlane MMA has been around for quite some time as well. I think he started in like 2023 as well. Now, I've got a bone to pick with Leftlane MMA. I thought I was cool with Leftlane. I used to like this guy. And then I've seen clips going around of him on live streams and shit, saying like, oh, Hopper MMA, this guy has no personality. And he's just shit talking MMA YouTuber. This guy seems like one of the saltiest channels out there nowadays. I'm like, why is this guy so salty? I used to like Leftlane. Obviously, everyone used to compare him to Bedtime, and to be fair, you'd never watch Leftlane MMA if BedtimeMMA exists. It's like when you're going down the motorway and your mum asked if you want McDonald's. No, I don't want McDonald's. We've got McDonald's at home, she'll say. And Leftlane MMA is the McDonald's at home. So I'm going to put him in C tier. His videos just aren't that good. But listen, one thing I will say about Leftlane MMA. One thing, he knows what he's talking about. You know, he's not a casual. You know, I can sit here and bicker with him all day, but he's not a casual. You can tell he knows what he's talking about when it comes to MMA. He's not, I think he's one of the better predicting channels on the prediction tracker as well, which is also going to be on this video. So he knows what he's talking about, and I'm sure you're a fan of Leftlane if you're in the community. He has a personality. It's like every MMA YouTuber has kind of like grown over time, whereas Leftlane's still on phase one. Like, why is everyone else growing but not me? And then, like, mate, if 50% of your content were you talking about other MMA content creators and how they shouldn't be as big as they are, maybe you'd be growing instead, mate. But that's just my output. And I remember what was the other thing he said about me as well? Something like I don't crack jokes and I've got no personality. And I'll say this about you, Leftlane. Leftlane's, he does do a lot of like edgy jokes. It's like that kid in class that tries too hard to be edgy. That's kind of how I view Leftlane MMA. I'm not saying he's just a B-Tech version of Bedtime like everyone else. I do think they are different in a way. I feel like a lot of people compare them simply because they're Australian, but he's not a casual. He posts different, like, similar to Bedtime content in the sense that it's, like, more jokey content. And like I said, if you're in the community of Leftlane MMA, I'm sure you'd be a fan of him. But, yeah, this guy's just salty about every other MMA YouTuber. I don't know why he's so salty. Maybe it's because he hasn't really been growing in subscribers like everybody else has. I'm not sure what it is about Leftlane MMA. He's chill. He's been around for a long time. He's got a personality. He's not a casual, but it just seems like he's a bit edgy and he's a bit salty because no one's really paying attention to his channel compared to everyone else's. Maybe that's the issue, but I'm going to put Leftlane in C tier. He hasn't really improved since he joined the space. You can go and watch a Leftlane MMA video back in like September of 2023 or whenever he joined, and you can go and watch one of his videos from like 2 weeks ago, and there's barely any difference. So he's a cool guy, seems like a fairly likable guy outside of the... Like, I was watching one of his live streams as well, and like 50% of his streams is him talking about other MMA YouTubers, and the other 50% is him talking about the fight. So I'll put him in C tier. He knows what he's talking about, but apart from that, I mean, it is pretty just bottom of the barrel content in my opinion. Maybe you guys disagree. I'm sure Leftlane's going to hate me for this, but I mean, you know what? You had it coming, so you can have that. Anyway, who else do we have on this list? Let's go for ITPMMA. Now, I remember ITP for being a montage channel. Like, they do montages of UFC clips and stuff, and now they've kind of transitioned to more of like a topic-based channel. They do videos on like John Jones and that, and they've been absolutely killing it as well. Like, they do, like, I think they're about to overtake me as well, and to be fair, like I said, fair play. They upload about 4 times a week. I'm gonna put them in B tier. More on the higher end of B tier as well. I'm gonna put them above TJ. I think that's fair for ITPMMA. Above TJ Tuck's fights, below MMA Che. But yeah, I'm a fan of ITPMMA. Yeah, they do videos on like John Jones and their titles as well. Like John Jones is still ducking Tom Aspinall and is gay. He did a recent one as well with McGregor. So I'm a huge fan of the titles of ITP. And yeah, they just cover like topics such as like the BJ Penn situation, a John Jones ducking situation. Easily watchable content, almost like mini documentaries. And I'm a fan of ITPMMA. They've been killing it. Again, I'm not going to sit here and act like I watch them on a consistent basis and I watch every other MMA video they do. This is just me kind of getting a general term of what they upload. But ITP, I'm going to put them in B tier. I like them. I'm not going to binge watch every video, but I think they are pretty funny with the content that they post. So I'm going to put ITP in B. And I keep saying there because I don't know if it's an individual person or more of a group of people running the channel. I think it's an individual person, but I'll put ITP in B tier anyway. Then we'll go for JoeyMMA. And I'm calling him JoeyMMA because I don't want to call him the actual channel name that he is, because I feel like this guy might end up trying to get, defame the channel and get me taken down for, I don't know, slandering the channel. I'm going to put MMA Joseph in D tier. He's just, when I first joined the MMA YouTube scene, everyone hated MMA Joey, and I was like, why does everyone hate this guy? He seems like he knows what he's talking about. He has pretty good videos. I don't actually mind his videos, and as time has gone on, now I understand why he's one of the most disliked MMA YouTubers. I'm not going to dabble on for this for too long because You know, it just is what it is. But he essentially is more of a rage baiter, but he's not like a KennyOkoye rage baiter, where he just says shit like Adesanya's in the top 10. He will take any fun thing or any fan favorite in the UFC and just diminish it. Like Tom Aspinall will be celebrated for becoming the champion, and then he'll just start ranting about Tom Aspinall being overrated. Or he'll just, when Alex Pereira was saving 2024, the entire year, he was just shitting on Alex. And even last night, he said that Gabriel Bonfim beat Stephen Wonderboy Thompson 30-27, and anybody who disagrees is a filthy casual. And I remember the Gaethje Poirier fight as well, where Justin Gaethje head kicked Dustin Poirier, and he said that it was the back of the head and it should have been overturned. He just seems like he manages to find a bit of negativity in every positive thing in MMA. For that, he's just I don't want that shit in MMA YouTube. I'm going to stick him in D tier. His content ain't for me. I will say, I'm not going to call him a casual. Again, I've looked at his prediction videos, I've looked at his videos. He seems to have a general idea of what he's talking about, but I understand why a lot of people don't like him now. I'm going to put him in D tier. It's just unnecessary toxicity in the MMA YouTube space. And I know MMA YouTube and just MMA in general is a very toxic place. You kind of got to get used to it, but you know, as a YouTuber, I'm just not a massive fan of MMA Joseph. Maybe there's a community out there that like him. I'm just not one of them. I'm going to stick him in D tier. I think that's pretty fair. Anyway, next MMA YouTuber. We'll go for Harry 1 of 1. Harry's a fairly new channel. I don't know when he started, but I think he's a fairly new MMA YouTuber. I'm going to put Harry 1 of 1. I'm going to put him in the lower end of B tier, I think. Or maybe do I put him above Kenny? No, I'm going to put him in the lower end B tier. Harry, I mean, first of all about Harry, before I talk about his content, this guy either has the smallest eye pupils known to man, or he's got the brightest light flashing in his eyes, because his eyes, I don't know, the pupils are always so dilated when he's recording. Anyway, Harry 1 of 1. Yeah, this guy, one thing I will say, he has improved his content a lot. Like, you can tell with the production of his videos, he kind of posts, he is a bit repetitive with what he posts. I know I can't really comment on this because I do very similar videos, but most of his videos is just like grading prospects from 3 years ago, grading prospects from 4 years ago, prospect this, prospect that, ranking this, ranking that, and then he'll do like an AK. I don't think he does prediction videos either, so it is a bit repetitive with the content that Harry posts, but he's obviously improving as an MMA YouTuber. You can tell the production quality has got up massively. He's slowly growing, so for Harry 1 of 1, I'm going to put him B tier. His content isn't for me. You know, if I could choose between watching some MMA YouTubers, I don't think Harry 1 of 1 would be one of them for me, but that's personally my opinion. He does make decent videos. It just becomes a bit repetitive. I think if he did more prediction videos and, you know, relevant videos on topics that are actually going on in MMA, it'd be better, but again, who am I to speak? I also do videos on prospects and rankings, so I can't really talk shit about that. So I'll put Harry 1 of 1 in B tier. I think that's fair. Not one of my favorites. He's not an awful YouTuber. He does improve. B tier is fair for Harry 1 of 1. Then we'll go for, okay, let's get him out the way. Lucas Tracy, FlukasGlazy. Lucas Tracy must have seen the success of rage baiting by the likes of Kenny, and he started doing it in himself, because Lucas Tracy's formula for MMA YouTube now is to build a narrative, hold on to that narrative for as long as possible, and then move on to another. And I remember last year with the whole Benoit Saint Denis situation. Benoit Saint Denis, he's going to be the biggest thing in the lightweight division. I'm telling you guys. And then he goes out and gets knocked out by Dustin Poirier. And then his new narrative is that PT Anne's number 9 in the GOAT list. He does do a bit of rage baiting these days, cheeky Lucas Tracy, but no, I'm going to put Lucas in A tier. I'm going to put him high A tier as well. He's just a likable guy, is Lucas Tracy. I do think he's a bit past his prime. I think prime Lucas Tracy was back when he was live streaming as well, but yeah, this guy, he was close to being one of the biggest MMA YouTubers out there before he kind of semi-retired and came back. You know, he was streaming on a consistent basis, he was drawing him subscribers, and he just does everything, does Lucas Tracy. He'll do more meme videos, but he'll also do serious topics, which I agree with, like when he's slandering Dana White for not stripping John Jones, or when he's talking about a certain topic. He does prediction videos, even though he does just kind of skim over a lot of the facts, and he'll do breakdown videos too. Another thing I'm going to say about Lucas Tracy is, what was this guy getting up to before MMA YouTube? Like, I don't know what the context is, but I've seen clips of this guy like dancing shirtless in grocery stores and shit, and in just random stores in America. I don't know what the hell Lucas Tracy was doing before MMA. MMA saved this guy. I'm convinced that if it weren't for MMA, this guy would have gone feral as well. And I feel like it's weird with Lucas, because on one hand, you've got like a nice, normal guy, you know, a bearable personality, seems like a calm, normal guy, kind of reminds me a bit of Barack Obama. And then on the other hand, you've got the guy doing muzzers in grocery stores, old man stippy videos. He's a bit of a, I don't know, he's got like a bit of a bipolar disorder, does Lucas Tracy, but solid guy. He does a bit of rage baiting here and there. He's a series here and there as well. He used to stream as well. Lucas Tracy, I'm going to put him in A tier. He is just one of the best MMA YouTubers out there. One of the, I guess, one of the more likable dudes out there. Finally got his interview with Volkanovski. And it's just easy to be part of the Lucas. From what I see anyway, it seems to be pretty easy to be part of his community. I'm not going to put him in S tier. I don't think he's necessarily, like, I would rather watch a Bedtime on a consistent basis than Lucas or some other MMA YouTubers than Lucas, but I'm going to put him in A tier. Consistent, good videos, easily watchable, good personality, knows what he's talking about, does like to dabble in a bit of rage baiting here or there. He's also come up with so many catchphrases as well. And he also let's not act like Lucas Tracy. It might have been Bedtime. Let's not act like Lucas Tracy didn't invent the whole Shamil Gaziev thing. Everyone likes to talk about how Shamil Gaziev is going to be a future champion. I swear Lucas Tracy was the guy who invented that as well. Anyway, Lucas Tracy, one of the better MMA YouTubers out there. Does dabble in a bit of rage baiting here and there, but you know what? I'm going to put him in A tier. One of the best. Then we'll go for UFC Predictions Tracker. This guy's a fairly new channel. I think he's been going since November. Essentially what he does is he gathers the predictions for nearly every single channel on MMA YouTube. Small, big, well, no matter what the type, he'll gather the kind of predictions of every MMA channel and stick them into a video so you can kind of see who's doing well, who's not, who's the most profitable. And if you're someone who's into gambling or even just want to, you know, see which MMA YouTubers do the best at picks, he's one of the better MMA YouTubers out there for it. I'm going to put UFC Predictions Tracker in B tier. Super helpful. And this is what I mean. If I was an MMA YouTuber in 2025 and I was starting fresh, you want to do something unique. And this is what I mean. This is something that's unique. No one else is doing prediction tracking. So he's taken, you know, advantage of it. He's done a unique kind of channel idea and it's obviously worked. So UFC Prediction Tracker, B tier. Super helpful if you want to know who's doing well on MMA YouTube rather than having to go through every individual video. So obviously, I can't put him in A tier or S tier. He's not one of the best MMA YouTubers because it's not really content. It's just statistics. But it's super helpful. I don't think anyone can discredit the channel of Prediction Tracker. So I'm going to put him in B tier. Helpful guy in the MMA space. Let's do some smaller channels now. UncMMA, formerly known as Bunny MMA. He's one of the smaller channels on the scene. I like this guy. He's kind of like his... I don't know how to describe it. If you don't know what he does, he kind of posts topics on, again, more of like a general base of what's going on in MMA. It might be something to do with John Jones. It might be a prediction video. It might be a ranking video. He covers like a wide range of topics. He's just one of these smaller growing channels. Goes live as well every day with like a small community. And these the small YouTubers that I like. Listen, is UncMMA ever going to be one of the biggest MMA YouTubers out there? He's not. But is there anything necessarily bad with his content? Again, there's nothing really bad with his content. I'm going to put him in high C tier, but not in an insulting way. For a guy that's only got 5k subs, I think C tier is fair because everyone else on this list has got like, you know, over 10k. So I'm going to put UncMMA on C tier. He's just a chill guy. Seems to have pretty good takes as well. He doesn't really seem to be a delusional guy who's rage baiting. He seems to know what he's talking about. And again, just seems to be a pretty chill guy in the MMA YouTube space. UncMMA, I'll put him in C tier. Anyway, let's go for some more guys. Let's go for, who's this down here? Let's see if I can grab him. FlyingSquirrelMMA, another fairly new channel. I think he's got about 13k subs. FlyingSquirrelMMA. Now, I'm going to be honest, I didn't really know who this guy was. Not calling him irrelevant or anything. I just never really saw this guy's channel before. So I had to skim through his videos, and he seems to post pretty good videos. I'm going to stick him in B tier as well. He essentially does... Again, more general topics, like he's done videos on the UFC going to the White House recently. He'll do videos on things like Ilia Topuria. He just does random topics that are still fairly relevant in MMA, and he'll just have a bit of a discussion about them, and it's as simple as that. It's easily watchable stuff. I always said this before, if there was content that, you know, it was easy to watch when, I know this sounds a bit, you know, weird, but if, you know how there's content on YouTube that you kind of fall asleep to, Flying Squirrel would be the perfect guy for that. You're not going to be massively animated watching his videos, but he talks about MMA. Again, I'm not going to act like I'm an expert on what he posts. Seems to just go through images on a PowerPoint slide and talk about certain topics in MMA, but I'll put him in B tier. Again, I don't really watch him enough to know what he talks about, but I think it's fair to put him in B tier. Seems to be a decent MMA YouTuber. Knows what he's talking about as well. I think B tier is fair for the Flying Squirrel. Then we've got Mighty Mouse. Now, like I said before, I wasn't going to include MMA fighters who have a YouTube channel, but I feel like I've got to count Mighty Mouse because he's more of a YouTuber nowadays than anything. And I'm going to stick him in A tier. Yeah, Mighty Mouse. He is the GOAT, not only in MMA, but the GOAT of MMA YouTube from MMA fighters coming over to YouTube. If there was a formula on how to become a successful MMA YouTuber as a fighter, Mighty Mouse would be that. He does everything perfect. He breaks down fights in depth. I know he does that whole in-void thing he does. He does podcasts with a wide range of people, from Death Sentence to Mikey Musumeci to MMA Guru to some like Volkanovski. He'll do gaming every now and then. He'll do live streams every now and then. He'll talk about more serious topics. He'll react to content. He'll do street beefs. He's got this new podcast that he's launched as well. I feel like Mighty Mouse is kind of turned into more of a full-time YouTuber, and you just can't really get bored of his content. Now, I'm not going to sit there and sit like I'm going to, you know, watch a full 1-hour episode of Mighty Mouse talking with Volkanovski. No, I'm not going to sit there and watch a 30-minute video of him breaking down the void between Kai Kara-France and Pantoja. I'm not going to do that, but that's me personally. I'm going to stick him in A tier. The best MMA fighter that has transitioned to a YouTube channel. And yeah, I'm a massive fan of Mighty Mouse. Again, he's not going to be one of these guys that predicts a card from top to bottom. He's more of a general idea of stuff, but yeah, unique content and yeah, easily watchable videos. Then we've got another kind of smaller channel. We've got Warhorse MMA. I think he's got about 7k subs, 5 to 7k subs. He's got a bit of a community around him. He's growing. He's been around for some time. Warhorse MMA. Now, I've got a bit of a bone to pick with you as well, Warhorse MMA, if you're watching this video. This guy's stolen some of my thumbnails as well. And listen, I'm not going to sit here and act like I gatekeep the white background on MMA YouTube, because I don't. Listen, if you want to post a similar thumbnail, you can do that. But this guy hasn't just posted a similar thumbnail. This guy has directly stolen some of my thumbnails. I remember doing a video. I think it was ranking every UFC weight class by which was hardest and easiest to become a top 15 fighter in. And I kid you not, I remember seeing his video on my recommended page, and the thumbnail was so identical, I thought it was mine. So if you could, you know, lay off stealing my thumbnails, mate, I'd appreciate that. But Warhorse MMA... he seems like to be he seems a likable guy, good charismatic guy, good personality, and that's what you want. He's not a boring person. He's got decent live streams as well. He does kind of post clickbaity content, like all of his titles seem to be like, you know, why Pantoja's going to be the next greatest of all time in the UFC, or, you know, why this guy's going to be the next big thing, or this guy's the most overrated fighter of all time. It does seem to be kind of, I guess, clickbaity content, if that's what you want to call it, but I'm going to put Warhorse MMA in C tier. I think C tier is fair for Warhorse MMA. One of these smaller channels, personally not for me, but you know, if there's a community around him, if you've got a small community out there, I'm sure there's people who are going to watch him, so I'll put Warhorse in C tier. Then we've got, let's go for AI channels. Now, I'm not talking about a specific channel, but I've seen a rise in these kind of brain rot AI channels on MMA YouTube. Like, they'll do like every MMA technique that is banned, and it's so obviously AI. Like, the voice will have no tone whatsoever, and they'll mispronounce name massively. Like, it'll be Daniel Cormier, and they'll say like Daniel Cromy. They're just mispronounced names. Clearly AI. Let's keep AI away from the YouTube space, or just MMA YouTube space at least. You know what I mean? If we're going to do AI on YouTube, that's one thing. But in the MMA community, I'd like to stay away from AI if possible. I don't want the next big MMA YouTuber to be some AI slop that somebody has generated. So keep AI away from MMA YouTube. I'm sticking it in D tier. Any AI related channel on there, if you're thinking of posting an AI YouTube channel for MMA, don't do it. No one's going to watch it, and if they do, you're not going to grow community out of it, because it's AI slop, and eventually people are going to catch on. Any AI channel out there, it's going in D tier. And then we've got, last but not least, MMA Guru. MMA Guru, I'm going to stick him in. It's got to be S tier for MMA Guru. I'm not just doing this so I can cater towards MMA Guru's fan base and make them proud, but I do genuinely think he's an S tier content creator. Is he flawless? No. You know, he does over-exaggerate certain topics like Dagestani fighters and certain fighters out there, and, you know, whenever he gets a pick wrong, he'll over-exaggerate, and he does have quite a lot of bias as well. And it does get a bit annoying after a while. Like, every single time he'll get an incorrect pick, it's just unnecessary raging, and oh my gosh, the amount of times, every single time a fight ends, MMA Guru's tweets on my timeline, it's always like, as I predicted this. Like, we fucking get it, mate. You predicted it correctly. So I feel like when it comes to like predicting fights, that's where it gets a bit annoying. And I remember his video, what was that video we did last year? I think it was Sean O'Malley Marab, where he said that Sean O'Malley beat Marab, and he made an entire video out of it. But overall, on the general basis, MMA Guru is one of the most easily watchable YouTubers out there. He does post 30-minute to 1-hour videos, but there's nothing better than MMA Guru ripping Joe Rogan to shreds. There's nothing better than MMA Guru exposing John Jones or exposing someone for this content. You're not going to see MMA Guru doing like a ranking every UFC champion video. He's kind of like the drama alert of MMA YouTube, in the sense that they'll go through different topics and he'll give his input on it, but I like MMA. The thing about MMA Guru, you can tell he knows what he's talking about. He knows what he's talking about, whether it be predictions, even though he does kind of use a bit of bias in that. He knows his shit. His live streams are some of the funnest as well. A lot of MMA YouTubers out there, it's just like, how can you sit through a live stream of this guy? Whereas MMA Guru, I mean, to be fair to MMA Guru, I do think his live streams has kind of fallen off. A lot of his live streams nowadays, he just, thank you for the $2. Can you do an impression of Leon Edwards? And it'll just be like, oh, blah, 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 blah. So it's just kind of him responding to donations nowadays. But on the general basis, MMA Guru knows his shit. I think he secretly, when he does kind of do these more not rage bait videos, but more exaggerated videos, he knows what he's doing. But I'm a fan of him. You know, there's nothing better than, you know, like I said, MMA Guru ripping Joe Rogan to shreds. And he's kind of like a voice of the people when something's going wrong in MMA, whether it be John Jones sticking on for the belt for too long or some issue that's going on. MMA Guru will be the first guy to call it out. And because he's got the biggest platform, you've got to commend him for that. He's not doing this shitty rage baiting thing either. So MMA Guru, I think he's definitely one of the better MMA YouTubers out there. I'm not saying that Bedtime's above him, by the way, in terms of this placement. This is just, you know, whatever it is. But MMA Guru, I'm going to put him in S tier. He's been doing it since like 2018 as well, so you've got to respect him for that. So I'm going to put him in S tier. But that is my list of MMA YouTubers. If you're an MMA YouTuber and I haven't included you on this list, it's likely that I don't know who you are. I'm not calling you irrelevant. I just don't know who you are. I don't really feel like you're able to fit the criteria of the list for whatever reason, like I said at the beginning. But that's my MMA YouTuber tier list. Hopefully every other MMA YouTuber can post one now because I've done it first. If not, is what it is. That's my list. Let me know if you agree, disagree, and yeah, cheers for watching.